Let's bring him to the stage with a great big Harris welcome, Bob Holzwarth. Thank you. This is awesome. This is beautiful. We've been thinking about this for a couple of months, and just to have you people sitting here paying attention, all these faces looking this way, this is fantastic. So thank you for bringing us on stage. I got to tell you, when I was first approached by HR about doing stand-up, I was a little hesitant. I said, seriously, you want me to do stand-up in front of a corporate crowd at the company I work for, potentially in front of the president, his wife, all of HR, and risk saying something offensive and jeopardizing my entire career? Really? Well, how much time would I get? It's all about the time. This is the best looking audience I've ever been in front of. Give it up for yourselves for getting all decked out. I was watching everybody before the show started, and I'm thinking, we really ought to come to work dressed like this someday. You know, suits and ties and heels and sparkles, and we would do it the next time Bill Brown is in town. Kind of a team-building practical joke. He'd get back to Florida and say, have you seen the new dress code in Rochester? Those people look amazing. So this is a very busy time of year, so I'm glad everybody could come out. It's very busy for me. I just bought a house this fall, so that's always a busy time. I got to tell you, moving after 40 is tough, because basically every guy I know has a bad back. I literally have lifelong friends who would take a bullet for me, but they can't lift my couch. It's too much. I've been doing all kinds of stuff, working on the house. You know, I wanted to get the gutters cleaned before the snow started flying like today. And so I bought a 28-foot extension ladder, which was exciting. May not sound exciting to you, but you didn't have to climb it. Okay? I've got a really tall house. The gutters are 27 feet up, so I bought the 28-foot ladder. I get it home and find out it has a working length of 24 feet. So somehow on the windiest day of the year, I wound up 27 feet up on a 24-foot ladder. You can't buy a thrill like that at Darien Lake. The whole time I'm up there, I'm thinking, you know, people, when it comes to ladders, there's really two kinds of people. Some people are really timid around ladders. Other people have never fallen off of one. Personally, I'm not really afraid of falling. I'm afraid of hitting the ground really, really hard. And at my age, you know, I could hit the ground really, really hard falling off the curb. So, I've been doing a lot of projects, probably too many projects around the house, and by that I mean they're starting to call me by name at the Home Depot. They should though, because I'm a really good customer. The other day I went in for light bulbs and spent $400. I didn't even get the right light bulbs. But I got this vanity mirror in the upstairs bathroom. It's got these 8 round bulbs around it, you know, and I decided to go fluorescent to save energy. But then I got there and I got distracted. So I bought 75-watt bulbs like you would for a normal lamp. And if you do the math, 8 times 75 is really, really bright. It starts out dim because they're fluorescent, right? But then it's like watching the sunrise. By the time you put shaving cream on, you got to shave it off right away or you get tan lines. It's really bright. I bought a bunch of new stuff when I got the house. For the first time ever, I got a brand new lawnmower. I've always had hand-me-downs, but this time I got the brand new one. I like it, but I don't like all the safety features we've got today. Like you got the thing on the handle, you got to squeeze it or the motor shuts off. When I was a kid, the only safety feature on a lawnmower was a sticker. It said, keep your hands out of the blade, you idiot. But now even the safety stickers have safety stickers. I've got a gas can that looks like it was designed by Celino and Barnes. It's got all kinds of things. You got to twist and turn and pull to get the gas out. Supposedly they designed it that way so that gas would not come out accidentally. And it worked. Because I couldn't get gas out on purpose. I actually had to read the instructions for a gas can, which meant that I had to go inside, get my reading glasses, come outside, bring it into the bright light, and rip the safeties off. And now it pours, and I'm doing much better. But even then, you know, I'm still mowing the lawn. Luckily, I think after today, we've done the last of the season. But it's still just a tedious, mindless chore. So I like to make up games when I'm mowing the lawn to pass the time. Did you ever make up a game? Anybody? A couple people did. But my favorite is called Will It Mulch. one started one day when I'm mowing along and I see a tennis ball. It's not mine. I don't play tennis. I don't have a dog. I don't want it. But if I let go of the spring, the motor's going to shut down. So I asked myself, will it mulch? First pass was inconclusive. But by the 5th week, it was mulch. Turns out you can mulch anything, except for dandelions, which is ironic. Dandelions just bend over, and then as soon as you're not looking, they pop right up like they're clubbing on Jersey Shore. But we just had the holidays, we had Thanksgiving. Everybody have a good Thanksgiving? Excellent. I did. We had a big Thanksgiving, just like we used to have when I was a kid, where you have so many people that somebody winds up sitting on a piano stool. It was nice. We had a lot of unintentional traditions like that when I was a kid. Like when I went over to my aunt's house for Thanksgiving, she had this special crystal serving dish reserved just for the cranberry sauce. And then I don't know what kind of reindeer game she was playing back in the kitchen, but somehow she would always manage to get it out while retaining a perfect can shape. It had the little rings on it. You could practically read the label on it. She was an artist. Another traditional food was the squash, which my grandmother and my mother always loved. The kids hated it. When the squash dish got to the kids' end of the table, they would go from 0 to 60 in 2.5 seconds. One time I actually heard a sonic boom as it broke the sound barrier. And I will say this about casserole dishes. They really are quite fast, but they corner like a school bus. But I have 2 daughters that are away at college, so it was great to have them home, for the most part. My oldest came home with her first tattoo. I wasn't too crazy about that. She says she's just going to get the one, but I don't know if I believe her, because that's what a lot of old ladies say about their cats. They seem to multiply. I just have this fear that by the time she's 40, she's going to look like a railroad car that's been parked in Brooklyn for a month. And if you got a tattoo, don't be mad at me. I know I'm probably overreacting. There's a lot of intelligent, sophisticated people that have tattoos these days. I'll even admit there's a few places where a tattoo can be kind of sexy. It's just that none of those places are on my daughter, okay? The tattoo she chose is this 3 lines of text of one of her favorite quotes. And she knows I'm not into it, so she tried to downplay it. She told me she had chosen a really conservative font. I said, well, that's really not the point, honey. But in the back of my mind, I'm thinking at least she didn't choose something trashy like Monotype Corsiva. She also says it's not visible, which I don't really buy, because basically anything's visible depending on what you're wearing. Either that or it's on a part of your body that you really had no business whipping out at a tattoo parlor. To me, technically, for a tattoo to really not be visible, it'd have to be on an internal organ. I just picture a woman lying on the operating table having surgery. One doctor says to the other, hey, check it out. Chinese writing on her kidney. It's so hot. My middle child just turned 18, which is a big deal. It's different though. When I was a kid, the big deal at 18 was to have your first beer with your dad. And I did that, and 1 turned into 3 and 4. Next thing you know, I was nauseous and dizzy. It was a special memory. But my daughter and I were not allowed to do that because times have changed. That would be illegal. So instead, I got her some voter registration cards, some lottery tickets, and a carton of smokes. And here's the irony. Neither of us are smokers. So after 3 or 4 cigarettes, we were both nauseous and dizzy. It's like 1985 all over again. Over the holidays, one thing I should tell you about myself is I am an engineer, in case you haven't figured that out. And at home, I'm a PC. I've always been a PC. My whole family is PCs. So over the holidays, my daughter comes to me and she said, Dad, we need to talk. I'm like, oh, this is not good. Nobody ever said, Dad, we need to talk. You won the lottery. So I started thinking about all the worst things that this could possibly be. What happened? Did she crash the car? She dropped out of school? Was she pregnant? But it was worse. She comes to me and she looks me in the eye and she said, Dad, I'm a Mac. Really? How do you know? I saw a picture of you on Facebook. holding an iPad, but I thought, hey, it's college, kids experiment. Are you sure you're not just Mac curious? She said, no, I've been a Mac for years. Mom knows. I'm like, oh, great. Always the last to know. Well, what could I do? I gave her a hug. I told her I loved her. I said, you'll always be my daughter. I'll always love you. I don't care what alternative computing choices you make. And deep down in the back of my mind, I think I always knew she was a Mac. You know, the clothes she wore, the people she hung out with, I could tell. I should have known. But my new house is way out in Manchester, way out in the country. And out there, they're just wrapping up what they call the most wonderful time of the year. And by that I mean deer season. I grew up in the suburbs and I've never really been a hunter. But I've always been amazed at how many ways there are to take a deer. You got your shotguns, rifles, bow season, muzzleloader season. About the only thing you don't have is a rod and reel season. I think that would be interesting. You can put me up in the same deer stand, but give me a big heavy fishing pole, some 200-pound test, a corn cob, and a fighting chair. Deer on. Ironically, I got my first buck this year. I did not get him during rod and reel season, though. I got him during Dodge Neon season. The funny thing is, whenever you tell a real hunter that you got a buck, the first question is always, well, how many points did he have? Points? I don't know. I don't even think he had a license. Sure didn't have insurance. I was mad when I hit that thing, though, because I just put these little deer whistles on the front of the car, little plastic whistles, if you see them. They're supposed to, make a high-pitched squeal and scare the deer out of the way. In reality, I think all it does is make the deer stop in the middle of the road. What the hell is that? Doesn't always work. I've been having fun lately. I've been putting together my first home theater, which is really cool. I'm trying to bring that theater experience into the home. And it's going great. I got the big screen, I got the surround sound, I got a sticky floor, I got a popcorn bucket you can sleep in. It's really coming along. I'm thinking about what a genius idea this is to do the home theater and not the other way around, the theater home. Where you take the home experience into the theater. It would be where you're sitting in the theater watching a movie, and an hour and a half in, somebody comes in, turns on all the lights, and wants to tell you about their day. I'll take a no thank you. There's smart technology out there today. It's amazing how much technology is out there. There's smartphones, smart homes, smart TVs. I worry that as technology gets smarter, it might also be getting judgmental. Just for example, the other day I put a movie into my Blu-ray player and it wouldn't play. I looked on the screen and said, "Disc is dirty." I said, "Hey, I'll watch what I want to watch. You're not the boss of me." As an engineer, sometimes I'm amazed at all the technology that's out there. Just everything that's been created through the years. But other times I think about what we haven't created and I feel kind of bad, kind of like we've let society down. Like, we perfected the self-cleaning oven years ago. So where's the self-cleaning tub? You'd think that'd be the low-hanging fruit, It gets doused with soap and water every day, and yet still I have to scrub it every spring. So I like that joke because it shows a gender divide. The women go, "Ew," and the guys say, "Spring." That's not often enough, right? But everything is on YouTube these days. We've already had 2 references to it tonight. This party is going to be on YouTube before we get home. And the really cool thing about that is it gives you an avenue to see all kinds of quirky and amazing things that you never would have seen 10 years ago. Just the other day, my son sent me a video clip of a guy in Venice, Italy, who had carved a life-size Lamborghini out of wood, just because he could. It was incredibly detailed, even had little wooden deer whistles on the front, I think. And then because he was in Venice, he'd actually turned it into a functional motorboat. The video showed him tooling around the canals of Venice like he was the king of the highway. But one of my pet peeves is when you see something really creative, really cool like that, there's always somebody that's got to cheapen it by saying, "Well, that guy's got too much time in his hands." Well, he doesn't, you idiot. Have you seen this thing? It looks like he's been quite busy. Too much time. As if you could have done that if only you had more time. Yeah, that's it. I do get your point, though. I mean, Duck Dynasty is not going to watch itself. Can you imagine friends of Leonardo da Vinci going up to his studio where he had all these amazing things he was working on, looking around and going, Nardo. That's what I would have called him. Nardo. You got too much time on your hands. I'm sure they did. I mean, nobody appreciates creative genius in its own time. Back then the Mona Lisa was just a regular painting. They probably looked at it like, isn't that Mona Lisa del Vecchio? She looks good without the mustache. Do you know if she's seeing anybody? And who's to say that the next Mona Lisa is even going to be a painting? Maybe 500 years from now, they'll still be talking about the incredible hand-carved cedar Lamborghini boat and how the headlights would follow you wherever you went. I'm having a good time tonight. I did come here single. I will tell you that I am divorced, in case you haven't figured that out. Any other divorced people having fun tonight? That'll admit it? Thank you. I don't buy it, but thank you. I am divorced. I miss being married sometimes. I'll admit that. I'll just be lying in bed at night all by myself, thinking about the old married days. Sometimes just for the heck of it, I'll get up and I'll go sleep on the couch. My love life's always been screwed up, and I blame that on the 70s, because I grew up in the 70s. It was my formative years in the 70s, and the big movie in the 70s was Love Story. And the big catchphrase from that was, love means never what?
Say you're sorry.
Love means never having to say you're sorry, exactly. And I believed him, only to find out that that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. And divorce means never having to say you're sorry. Love, on the other hand, means having to say you're sorry 7 times before breakfast every day. In fact, if I ever do get married again, I'm putting it right into my vows. I do, I'm sorry. The other day at lunch, a bunch of guys were talking about, what's the longest successful relationship you've ever had with a woman? And I started thinking about that, and I said, 12 years. But they said it didn't count because that's with the woman who cuts my hair. But Socrates said that an unexamined life is not worth living. So I've been thinking about that relationship, trying to figure out why does it work. Maybe it can help me with my romantic relationships. And I've narrowed it down to 3 things. First, I've always been completely faithful to Anne-Marie. No sneaking around to supercuts behind her back. Anne-Marie and I have never gone to bed angry with each other. And every time I see her, I give her money. And I think that last little gem is going to get me a lot more second dates. So thank you, Socrates. I've been playing around at Match.com a little bit. And I got to tell you, Match.com at my age is like a high school reunion. You log on, you look around, and you go, hey, look who's here. A lot of familiar faces. Match is tricky though. You gotta read carefully. You kind of go brain dead after a while just reading so many profiles, but you gotta be careful. The other day I was reading, and it said a woman had cancer. I thought, wow, that's an unusual time to be out looking for love. Turns out that was her zodiac sign. That's what I get for skimming. The other thing they do is they put religious affiliation right next to smoking habits. If you read it too fast, it comes out Catholic, but trying to quit. But I try to stay optimistic about love. I was seeing a psychologist for a little while. I'd see her a couple times a week, maybe 3 if her kids were at their dad's. And I found it really awkward to be dating a psychology at first. I just didn't like the idea of someone I was dating constantly trying to get inside my head and figure me out. Then I realized every woman I date is going to try to get inside my head and figure me out. At least with some formal training, she might have a shot at getting it right. Because I've been on the other side of that, believe me. I remember one time I came home from work and I was all stressed out, and my girlfriend said, "What's going on? Why are you so stressed?" And usually I would just shrug that off. But this time I decided to take it seriously. And I sat down with her and I told her everything that was on my mind. About how work was just getting to be this endless grind, and there never seemed to be enough money, and my kids were going to be going away to college soon, everything. And it really did feel good to just open up and to let it out. Then I looked up at her and she's going, "No, No, that's not it. You think I'm fat, don't you? Oh yeah, right, honey, you see right through me. Well, thank you, everybody. You've been an awesome crowd. Thanks for sticking around through the fire drill and everything. Good night.